We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept.
In the 1960s, the space race was a dangerous contest of egos, ambitions, and political posturing, pitting the era's two superpowers against each other in a risky game of escalating one-upmanship. The USSR had triumphantly beaten the US to the punch several times, starting with the 1957 surprise Sputnik, the first satellite to transcend Earth's orbit. In 1961, the Soviet Union sent the first human into space, making Yuri Gagarin a national hero and a worldwide celebrity. But the rush to lead space exploration also handed the Soviet Union a major tragic place in history books: the first spaceflight fatality, when cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov's spaceship slammed into Earth upon re-entry in 1967. Sadly, the mission seemed doomed from the start. By 1967, the space game had advanced by degrees. Both the US and the USSR had sent men into space. They had orbited Earth for multiple days. Two spaceships had docked, and men had proven the ability to work outside their craft. Both nations had their sights on a lunar landing, and both signed the UN's Outer Space Treaty, which restricted the use of space exploration for peaceful purposes. But it was also a year of tragedy. In January of 1967, the same day that the US signed the Outer Space Treaty, 3 American astronauts were killed when fire burst out in their spaceship during a ground test. Meanwhile, Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev, who'd assumed power 3 years prior, wanted to make a big mark to celebrate the impending 50th anniversary of the Bolshevik Revolution of May 1917. Soviet engineers conceived a plan to launch 2 spaceships, Soyuz 1 with cosmonaut Vladimir Komarov, followed by Soyuz 2 with 2 cosmonauts. They were meant to rendezvous, dock, and exchange crew members via EVA, or extravehicular activity, and return safely home. The Soyuz mission was meant for eventual use on lunar expeditions. Problems plagued the Soyuz 1 engineers. For starters, the hatch was much too small to accommodate a fully suited-up cosmonaut in EVA. Teams inspecting the spaceships found 203 problems, which were purportedly detailed in a 10-page memo. But no one wanted to alert Brezhnev, as bad news reflected badly on the messenger. Requesting a postponement was tantamount to the offensive suggestion that the Soviet Union was inadequate to the task. Komorov was born in Moscow on 16th of March 1927, born to a normal middle-class family in the USSR. His father was a laborer who later was drafted into the Red Army as the Great Patriotic War, what the Russians called World War II, started. His father would die while fighting for his country. During his teenage years, Komorov took a particular interest in aeronautics, resulting in him joining the 1st Moscow Special Air Force School in 1942. Komorov continued with his training, working his way up to the ranks within the Soviet Air Force. By 1959, he was promoted to the rank of Senior Engineer Lieutenant, which gave him the power to achieve his dreams. He became a test pilot at the Central Scientific Research Institute at Chklovsky in 1959. Due to his newfound status, Komorov was invited to a trial, which was open to only 3,000 participants, of which only 20 would be chosen to be part of the new Air Force Group 1. Although his age held him back, his natural skill in mathematics and his experience being an engineer meant that he would be chosen as one of the 20 members, breaching the strict no older than 27 rule. Although not fit enough to be put on the first space flights, Komorov assisted in other aspects of the program, such as the production of the aircraft, and in the end, he would get his time to shine. The flight would also result in Komorov receiving the USSR's highest award, the Hero of the Soviet Union Medal. For the Soyuz 1 mission, Komorov was set to be the primary pilot for the mission, with Yuri Gagarin being his backup. Gagarin wanted to put himself forward for the mission, as he thought that the Soviet leadership wouldn't risk their star boy in such a dangerous mission. He hoped that this would push the program towards making the aircraft safer. This did not deter Komorov. It was said that Komorov accepted the mission to protect Gagarin from death or injury, as he did not trust the Soviet leadership to outright cancel the flight. He stated that if he was to be killed in the mission, he would want his funeral to be open casket so the Soviet leadership could see what they had done by not outfitting the aircraft properly. This would become a self-fulfilling prophecy, as during his orbit, Komorov experienced many problems with the electrical apparatus within the aircraft, leading to many complications, especially during re-entry. The ultimate fatal flaw would come with the aircraft's parachute system, which failed to activate during re-entry, resulting in the aircraft traveling at around 35 meters per second when it impacted the ground, killing Komorov instantly. Komarov's death was the first recorded death of a cosmonaut as a result of spaceflight. It shook the Soviet Union to its core, with the most impacted being those part of Air Force Group 1. In a statement from a member of the group, it was stated, "He was our friend. Before his death, the press and the public had paid little attention to the extreme risks we took." Truly, the job of a cosmonaut is one of the most demanding, stressful, and fear-inducing that anyone could perform. Like our ancestors, stepping into uncharted territory has always been both our goal and downfall. Human curiosity has no bounds, and the space race was the biggest embodiment of this human will to find out more. With the advent of a new space era, just starting because of the enterprises of SpaceX, Boeing, and other commercial space ventures, we can only wonder, how long until we go back to the stars? If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel. We will be uploading regularly. You can also support the channel on Patreon in the link below. Also, comment down below. What should we cover next? Until next time, peace out.